Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's great to see everybody out here this morning. My name is Steve Littlefield. I am the Veteran Service Officer here in town. Thank you so much for coming out on such a lovely day. And honestly, this weekend has been a glorious weekend that we got to enjoy and celebrate and remember what this weekend is all about. I would like to welcome up first the Reverend Dr. Bill Wildman from the Halifax Congregational Church to deliver our invocation.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning. It's an honor to be here today with our beautiful community of Halifax. As we begin these ceremonies, we do so in the spirit of prayer, mindful of the thousands and thousands of ultimate sacrifices that were made that allow us to gather like this freely, to worship as we choose freely, to live in freedom in the blessings that we've been given. In that spirit, let us now pray together. Dearest and loving God, as we gather here this morning, we do so in gratitude for your blessings, for your unconditional love, and for the example that you've given us of service to one another. As this day we remember those who gave their lives in the service of our country, from wars in ages past to the conflicts of today, we remember those who held nothing back, who allowed duty and honor and hope for a better future to motivate them to protect us all. Let us never, ever take their sacrifice for granted as we live in the freedom that they bought for us with their blood, sweat, and tears. Help us to build a better world. Help us to love one another. And help us to see that the freedom that they bought for us never, ever departs the face of the earth. Thank you, dearest God, for the love of those who gave their all. Help us to give what we have in like manner. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Bill. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you to kindly remove your hats, face the flag, and please welcome up Halifax Elementary School first grader, and she also happens to be my daughter, Aria Littlefield, to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say can't you see by the dawn's early light what's proudly waiting at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly fleeting, and the rockets went round, the bombs bursting in air gave proof to the men that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You got a proud dad up here right now. Thank you, Aria. Today I'd like us to take a moment and pause and honor the memory of a dear friend that we recently lost. Some of you know him dearly, and some may recall him from last year's ceremony, where at the remarkable age of 96 years young, Corporal Jim Ingragiola captivated us all by reciting the Ragged Old Flag from memory. Jim was a courageous veteran of the United States Marine Corps, serving during World War II in the Pacific Theater. He witnessed the awe-inspiring sight of his fellow Marines raising the flag on Mount Suribachi during the Battle of Iwo Jima. Jim was an integral part of our local VFW Post 6258, actively contributing to the betterment of our community. At the youthful age of 75, he even earned his bachelor's degree from Bridgewater State University, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to lifelong learning. Beyond his military service and educational accomplishments, Jim was a dedicated church member and passionate sports enthusiast. However, his most cherished role was that of a loving patriarch to his family, which he considered his greatest lifelong achievement. As we gather here today, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence as we reflect upon the remarkable life of Jim and the indelible legacy that he leaves behind. To keep this memory going, I'd like to ask the commander of VFW Post 6258, Bruce Thomas, to come up and recite the poem that Jim loved so much.
Okay, show of hands, how many people were here last year and heard Jim recite that? Oh, no pressure, right? All right, so you heard Jim. Jim learned this at 96, so I'm only 46, so I've got some time to actually memorize it. Jim was a very important person to our community and to our post, and anytime you spoke with Jim, or really when Jim spoke to you, it was captivating, right? He didn't demand your respect. His presence just commanded it. And it's one thing to hear about history or to see a documentary about history than it is to speak to somebody who was there for history. So in honor of Jim, I'm going to do my best. So bear with me here. So this is the ragged old flag. I walked through a county courthouse square. On a park bench, an old man was sitting there. I said, "Your courthouse is kind of run down." He said, "No, it'll do for our little town." I said, "Yeah, your flag, the pole leans a little bit. And that flag that's ragged, that's hanging from it." He said, "Have a seat, son." And I sat down. "Is this the first time you've been to our small little town?" "Well," he said, "I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that ragged flag. You see, we got a hole in the flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware. And it got powder burns the night Francis Scott Key sat watching it writing, 'Oh, say, can you see?' When Washington, I'm sorry, I've already messed it up, Jim. And it got a bad rip at New Orleans when Pakenham and Jackson took it to the scene. And it almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag. But she waved on through. She got cut with a sword at Chancellorsville. And she got cut again at Shilohville. There was Robert E. Lee, Brevard and Bragg. The south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from the Big Bertha gun. She turned blood red in World War II, and she hung limp and low a time or two. She was in Korea and Vietnam. She went from our ships upon the briny foam. Now they found out, quit waving her back at home. In our good land, she's been abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused. And the government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. She's getting threadbare and she's wearing thin, but she's in good shape for the shape she's in. Because she's been through the fire before, and I believe she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up in the morning, and we take her down nice and slow every night. We don't let her hit the ground, and we fold her up just right. On second thought, I do like to brag, because I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag. May God bless the flag, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you, and thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Bruce. So we did have the elementary school essay contest this year. We had one winner, which was Mr. Michael McNeely. I don't know if he's here. So if you are here, Mr. McNeely, can you raise your hand? No? Okay. So I'm not going to, I don't want to take his thunder away. So we're going to see if we can get his essay published in the paper. And again, that's Mr. Michael McNeely. I believe he's a 6th grader at Halifax Elementary. And we'll see if we can get his essay published in next week's paper. So today, as we gather on this sacred Memorial Day, we come together in honor, and we remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation. It's a day of reflection, of gratitude, and of remembrance. But beyond the parade and the ceremony, there is an important message that I hope to resonate with the spirit of the day. And that's a message that intertwines the history of Memorial Day with the importance of mental health. As you heard up to today, and in ceremonies before, Memorial Day traces its roots back to the aftermath of the American Civil War. In the spring of 1865, communities across the United States grappled with the immense loss of life and the devastating impact of war. Amidst the somber atmosphere, a group of women in Columbus, Mississippi, inspired by the sight of fallen soldiers' graves, decided to pay tribute to the fallen by adorning those graves with flowers. This act of remembrance and reverence became known as Decoration Day. As the years passed, the tradition of honoring fallen soldiers spread across the country. And it was in 1868 when General John Logan, who was the Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, declared May 30th as a day for the nation to decorate the graves of those who died in defense of our country. This day marked the birth of what we now know as Memorial Day. As time went on and more wars were fought, the day expanded to encompass all American military personnel who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation. It became a day not only to decorate graves, but also to remember the fallen in various solemn ceremonies and parades. It was the time for our communities to come together, much like we are right now, united in the gratitude of their grief to honor the brave men and women who had given their lives. As we commemorate the heroism and the sacrifice of our fallen soldiers, we must also address the silent battle that continues to claim lives, and that's the battle against mental health challenges. Just as our fallen heroes faced physical hardships on the battlefield, they also had to carry the weight of mental and emotional burdens. The scars that they bore were not limited to the visible wounds. Their hearts and their minds endured the pain that often went unrecognized. The fatigue of battle, the time away from everything that is loved and cherished, and the trauma of mental pictures that cannot be erased. It is crucial that we confront the stigma surrounding mental health head on. We must break down the barriers that prevent individuals from seeking the help they need. No one should have to suffer in silence, and we cannot allow our friends, family, and community members to become statistics in the shadow of untreated mental health issues. The statistics surrounding veterans and mental health paint a sobering picture of the challenges that they face. Approximately 20% of veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan experienced post-traumatic stress disorder or major depression. Furthermore, the stigma surrounding mental health often prevents veterans from seeking the care that they need, as only 50% of those with mental health issues actually seek treatment. These remind us of the urgent need to prioritize mental health support for our veterans and create a society where they can speak openly without fear of judgment or shame. Seeking help for mental health is not a sign of weakness, but a courageous act of self-care. It is no different than getting a medical treatment for a physical ailment. A medic runs to the aid of a buddy with a bullet wound. A soldier goes to sick call with the flu. And a Marine sees the corpsman for a broken bone. We must foster a culture of understanding, compassion, and support, ensuring that individuals feel safe and empowered to reach out for help when they need it the most. By doing so, we can save lives and prevent the tragedy of losing more precious souls to the burdens that they carry alone. Today, let us honor the fallen not only by remembering their bravery and sacrifice, but also by dedicating ourselves to creating a society that cares for the mental well-being of its members. Let us remove the stigma and shame associated with seeking help, replacing it with empathy and understanding. Together we can build a community where no one suffers in silence, where everyone can find solace and support, and where seeking mental health treatment is embraced as a vital step towards healing. As we stand united on this Memorial Day, let us carry the torch of remembrance and resilience. Let us ensure that no one becomes a statistic, lost in the shadows of unaddressed mental health challenges. Together, let us forge a future where compassion and understanding prevail. Thank you. At this time, we're going to lay 2 ceremonial wreaths, one at the monument across the street and one over here to my left. As we place the wreaths, we will render a hand salute to those we remember, and you'll hear the song Taps played by one of the members of our Silver Lake marching band. As you hear and you feel these 24 notes echo through the trumpet, remember the lyrics to the song. The day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, from the hill, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh. We will now place the wreaths. Thank you. I'd like to ask Pastor Bill to come up one more time for the benediction.
It's, Again, it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you all this morning. As we go forth into this beautiful day, let us never, ever forget and never, ever take for granted the price that was paid for the freedom that we enjoyed today, that we enjoyed yesterday, and that we will enjoy always. Let us go forward in service to God and one another, mindful of the love that was shared and the sacrifices that were made, and hopeful for the better future we will build in their memory. Let us never forget, freedom is never free. Amen.
Thanks, Pastor Bill. On behalf of the Halifax Board of Selectmen, the Halifax Department of Veteran Services, the Halifax Veteran Services Committee, the VFW Post 6258, Halifax Police, Fire, Elementary School, Highway Department, Building Department, Council on Aging, and everyone who helped make the ceremony a success, we thank you for spending part of your day with us. I'd like to also recognize Mr. Nathan Campbell on the bagpipes. Let's give him a round of applause. And also the Silver Lake High School Marching Band, they were great as well. So this concludes the formal portion of the ceremony. We do have the Halifax Council on Aging set up over to my left. They're going to be grilling some hot dogs for $5. You can get a hot dog, a bag of chips, and a water. And we also have our VFW coffee drive going on, so please come up and buy a coffee for Memorial Day weekend. And feel free to hang out as long as you want, have a hot dog, and get to know your fellow townspeople. Thank you again for coming out today. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you.